Hello, welcome to the May MyPath MiniCast. I am your host, Tanisha Waddell Pyle, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and this is my co-host,
John Soderberg, Business Development Director at MyPath.
Awesome, thank you. Today, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. So you can check out the monthly awareness highlights to check out all things that have to do with mental health, and you can also see the rest of our monthly awareness highlights here. So again, like I said, this is Mental Health Month, one of the things that we're highlighting this month, and it's also the open of our Mental Health Pathfinders. They open this month on the third Tuesday of the month, so CST time is going to be 11:30 to 12:45 p.m. And remember that those start 15 minutes early, so that 11:30 to 11:45 time frame is for that mingle time, so everybody can get to know each other before we get to the business. Obviously, the EST time is going to be an hour later, which is our time that we're on, and that means that it will start at 12:30 our time. So make sure you join in. You can go to the Ready app, find the flyer, and all that information on that. And I will also be sending out calendar invites during the third week of Pathfinder of the month, so you guys can put those on your calendars as well. And like to also congratulate Rose Gustus and Liv Heavy. They will be championing and chairing the Pathfinder group along with executive sponsor Jessica Brandenburg. So I'm super excited to see all of the amazing things that this group has in store for our mental health Pathfinders. And to those that are celebrating the season, Eid Mubarak to you as well. So, John?
All right, so I'm just going to use some updates on the LGBTQ plus Pathfinders over the last month and things that we have been able to enact and hope to get enacted. So one you would know is the preferred name procedure has been out now for a month. That largely came out of our group's work, but is a benefit to all owners that would prefer to go by a different name than maybe what their legal name is in places where that is okay and appropriate. So that came out, and we've had a number of owners take advantage of it already. So you can find that information on Ready App as well. We are working and on the wait list for some Pride events in Wisconsin, trying to get to Kenosha and Milwaukee. Still waiting to hear back if we're getting off that list. But if we don't get off the list, it doesn't stop us from showing up in force at a Pride event. And we'll hopefully be definitely on those lists and at Pride in 2023. And then the other thing is that we're working hopefully for June, which is coming up in a month, getting some Project Safe Zone training out and available to people so they'll want to be an even better and even stronger ally to the LGBTQ plus community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those updates. I'm going to give a couple updates as well on the rest of our groups. And the first one I'm going to start with is the Race and Ethnicity Pathfinder group. You guys know that they were working on getting help for the TRS student that was having some issues. What they noticed is that staff members noticed that this student was having increased behaviors and a negative attitude at home and at school. And staff noticed that he was struggling with identity and seemingly being heavily influenced by TV and social media. So this student is from a transracial adoption, which means that that the student is Black and their parents are white for this particular case. And it was recognized that the student really needed to have a reflection of self and some positive reflective supports and influence. So REP came in and really were able to provide some great resources that included the 608 Kids, a Black-owned mentorship, after school and respite services organization. They really were able to be such a tremendous resource to the student, to the staff, to the family, and to the funders and the case managers for the student, to have an opportunity to identify root causes to the student behaviors and his attitude, and really be able to kind of unpack why he was having these behaviors, dispel some myths, some stereotypes for him, and really kind of wrapped him up in some services that he needed. And so this is the update I wanted to give. About 6-7 weeks later, after starting this initiative with him, and his connection to 608 Kids, the staff, his family, his case manager, and everyone has really noticed a significant increase and improvement in the student's attitude and his behaviors, and shared that this has been such an enriching journey for the student. He's having a better appreciation and respect for expectation and boundaries. And he's also shifted to goal setting, which is huge in that he's thinking about the future, including classes that helps him adult better.
Oh, nice.
So
I
he's
need
just,
those classes.
yeah, we all need those classes and getting on a career path. So he's really thinking about some ways that he can really just kind of thrive and like we do, transform lives. So really awesome thing that they're able to do for this student. And we really look forward to learning more and seeing more of how this can help other students, because the staff did share with us that 80% of our BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, and people of color students, are from transracial adoption. So this may be something that can help somebody else. So I was really happy to help them through that. So thanks to our rep team for helping with that. The abilities of neurodiversity, they talked about the power of neurodiversity in the workplace and enhancing flexibility and modifying work environment experience for our owners and clients and for their individual success, which is ultimately MyPath success. So that was great as well. Environment Pathfinder, they talked about that the environment is more than saving trees, and really want owners as well as teaching clients and students to have a conscious effort in making sustainable adjustments or changes in their lives to support the planet, which of course supports all of us. So that is really great. But one thing that we did that happened to do with trees is that this past weekend, John and I joined Dominic Foltz, our Environment Pathfinder, for an Arbor Day event that he organized for our owners with Tree Lafayette. Really great event. We helped Tree Lafayette plant 66 trees. We were only scheduled to plant 2, but we were motivated. We didn't do all 66, but we were motivated to plant more. So we actually planted 4 trees. So doing our little part to save the planet for decades to come. And you can check out T.C. Harris School and Academy Facebook page to see the pics shared from the video. And then also a video, I believe, that Tree Lafayette posted as well. The mayor and state representative even stopped by to chat with us to thank us for all of our hard work. And so again, you can learn more about the Environment Pathfinders by going to the Ready App Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion folder, and also check out the Environment's living document goals list that they'll be adding stuff and kind of progressing through that. And again, to see what's brewing with them in that Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion folder in Ready App. So I did not mention women Pathfinders. That's because of what, John? Why did I not mention it yet?
So she did not mention Women's Pathfinders because our special guest today is going to be the chair of the Women's Pathfinder group, Jess Moore, who is figuratively and literally a rock star in all ways, shapes, and form. So join us for a chat with Jess. All right. Well, we would like to welcome Jess Moore here to our studio as our special guest. So, Jess, why don't you share with us who you are and what your role is within our agencies?
Yes, I would love to do that. Hey, everyone. Welcome for having me on the MiniCast. I'm a huge fan. So currently, I am serving as the Director of Quality Assurance that's a shared role for GHS and PW. And so my responsibility is ensuring the quality of our service provision, as well as maintaining relationships with funders and regulating agencies. And then a lot of looking at processes and procedures that are in place that are not working and figuring out creative solutions to, solving problems, which is ultimately what we all do at MyPath.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So briefly share with us how you found your path at MyPath.
Oh, I love this question. Yes, absolutely. So like a lot of the brilliant minds at MyPath, I started my career at TC Harris down in Indiana. So I worked there as the training and development coordinator for about 2 years. It was a brand new role at the time. And I really enjoyed my time there. I got some of my finest mentorship of my entire career at TC, including some from the incredible John Soderberg. So I'm happy to be working back with him in some capacity. So after about 2 years, I wanted to stay with MyPath, but it was time to move on from my current position. So I moved from Lafayette, Indiana to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and started at Prader-Willi Homes as the behavior services coordinator. So I started there. I was in that position for about 2 years as well. And then about a year ago, I settled into my current position, which is PW and GLS, as I said. So lots of different opportunities at MyPath, lots of different roles. I also currently sit on the Employee Engagement Committee for GLS, the Employee Communications Committee at MyPath, and I serve as the ESOP representative for PW.
Nice. Yeah, you have a lot of hats because you're very energetic and like to do a lot. And it is always great to be working with you again, because it was always phenomenal working with you when you were down here in Lafayette. You are figuratively and literally a rock star in all ways. So also, why don't you tell us, so you've come into the space, into the Pathfinder group. So give us a little insight into why leading the Women's Pathfinder group is so important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So gender equality and intersectional gender empowerment has always been very deeply important to me. And of course, when I say intersectional, I mean cis women, trans women, BIPOC women, disabled women, gay women, straight women, the whole spectrum. So all women's empowerment. If it's not intersectional, it's not empowerment. So want to be really clear about that. And then, of course, I know that MyPath is an organization that has a lot of women in leadership. And so because of that, it is really, really important that we create and maintain a space that is equitable for women. So that is, obviously important on the business side. And then personally, I want to work in a space and ultimately live in a world where women no longer need to be identified as an affinity group or as a marginalized community because their perspectives are just part of the narrative that is status quo. So that's the dream. And since I want to work in a place like that and live in a world like that, it's my responsibility to contribute to building that workplace in that world. So that is, I'm beyond excited to be leading the Women's Pathfinders group.
Awesome. That was a great share. Thank you so much for sharing that. So obviously you and Kelly Thompson are a champion and leading this group, and we are so excited that the both of you are in this space. So tell me what excites you about being the Women Path, what you touched on for the most part already, but tell me what excites you about being the Women Pathfinders leader in relation to, MyPath, our owners and our community.
Yeah, well, let's start with, we are a 100% employee-owned company, right? And so as an owner of this organization, the culture, is very, very important to me. And then the second part of that, or another part of that, is there are no negative consequences to promoting equity. There are only positive outcomes for that. So elevating and celebrating diversity, leads to a wider perspective for all of us, and for, the normalization of women empowerment or space that is equitable for women. And so that's going to be a huge benefit for our owners, for the folks that we serve, for our external stakeholders, for the communities in which we operate. There's so much research out there to show that women, or companies that have the highest representation of women on their boards, consistently outperform companies that have the lower representation of women. And when I say outperform, I mean financially, when it comes to customer service, when it comes to service provision, when it comes to internal job satisfaction, retention, turnover, burnout, all of these things are associated with more women being represented in leadership. And so when it comes to MyPath, it's definitely in our best interest to elevate and celebrate women in any way that we can, to elevate and celebrate all of our marginalized communities. But certainly women fall into that bucket.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And I love the language that you use and the things that you shared. And so one last thing before we do our outro, is there any sneak peeks of things that you and your group want to work on?
Okay. Absolutely. So we've got some things coming down the pipeline. Very exciting. I'm really excited to share. So we are aware, I think probably most folks, but if you're not aware, women are the largest group of people leaving the workforce right now. And so, I don't have to talk to anyone on this call about turnover and retention and how, profoundly MyPath is affected by those things. So looking at things like, how do we make space in our organization that is more appealing to women. So the biggest benefit that we're looking at down the pipeline are things like childcare, and what could that look like, as a benefit, or, in a lot of different creative ways. But childcare is definitely something that we want to look at. Some more things with a shorter turnaround. So we have 2 current projects that we're just kind of barely getting off the ground, but they are very important. So space for people who are nursing to access safe and clean lactation environments is very, very important. A lot of folks, or a lot of women in the workplace, end up pumping in, bathrooms or closets, and just like in really places that are undignified or not suitable for that type of activity. And so looking at how can we provide that space, we have such a scope of settings at MyPath. We have our large facilities, we have our small group homes, and everything in between. So it's going to take some creative problem solving to tackle that. But we're the people to do that for sure. And then the other thing down the pipeline immediately is period products. So, we have owners that are working very long hours, very long shifts, who need access to period products and might not have them. So one study that I looked at suggested that 67% of people who menstruate had left work to go obtain period products. So when it comes to, providing coverage for for the folks that we serve, they're not all kiddos, and just providing those types of things, it's one less thing for people who menstruate to worry about when they're coming to work, and they're doing such amazing work for the folks that we serve. And I want to be clear about, not all women menstruate, and not all people who menstruate are women. But it is an issue that, significantly and overwhelmingly impacts women. So we're going to take that. That's going to fall in our bucket. So those are kind of the sneak previews. And then, just going to throw it out there. I would love to hear from other owners what it is that you want. Help us help you, ideas, shoot for the moon. There's a lot of things that we can do, and we can be really creative in our problem solving. So, you all know where to find me. It's Jess Moore at pwho.com. Hit me up anytime. I'm on the Ready app as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being our special guest today. We loved everything that you shared, all your sneak peeks and everything. And like I said, just for you and Kelly to take the charge and lead on this is so awesome. And we really do look forward to all the awesome and amazing things and the magic, as I always say, that you guys will create in this MyPath ecosystem. So thank you so much for being here. And we will look forward to seeing you next time.
Absolutely. Okay, bye.
Bye.
All right.
All right. That was a great interview with Jess. She's always so full of energy and
Yes.
so excited.
Yes.
I also want to give one other shout out, so we don't forget it, to Hunter Van Ness, who joined us at the
Yes.
Arbor Day tree
Yes.
planting as well. So he
Yes.
showed up, and he works at one of the group homes at TC Harris.
Yes,
So-
Hunter showed up and showed out. He did an absolutely fantastic job in joining us and planting all of the trees. So thank you so much, Hunter. And yes, Jess always is so dynamic and awesome to hear her talk about all the things that they have going on. So again, thank you, Jess, for joining us for this interview. So just a little update that I want to give is about our DEI survey. So as you know, everyone joined in, was able to kind of really share it and engage in the survey, but everybody's probably wondering like, well, what has come of it? What's going on? We started at February 14th, I believe, or February 17th, and we closed at April 15th. So thank you again for all of your engagement. We really did get a wonderful response rate. Was doing a survey of this magnitude, I always are like, we want 100% response rate, but that's not reality.
Realistic.
That's not realistic. So if you get at least a 10 or 15% response rate, that is actually considered really good. And so if you get anything like 30%, which is kind of unheard of, that is considered slaying the survey game. So I'm going to tell you what we did. We actually had over 700 respondents, but a little less than 600 of those we were able to use because some of them were incomplete and we couldn't necessarily use all of those responses. So we had just shy of 600. That means that we had a 30% response rate. So thank you so much for each and every one of you for making sure that you shared the survey, encourage others to take the survey, because we really did get an excellent, a phenomenal response rate. And 24% of our response came from our BIPOC staff, so Black, Indigenous, people of color. So that means that we had a diverse spectrum of people replying to our survey. There is strong support for the direction that DEI has taken at MyPath since it officially commenced back in the official start of my role in June of 2021. So that is really good. And just for you guys to kind of give your feedback on basically how I'm doing, there was a 94% approval rate. So thank you guys so much. I absolutely appreciate that you value this work and that you really care about the direction that we're taking MyPath with all of these DEI initiatives. Pathfinders foster, the survey did tell us as well that owners feel that Pathfinders groups foster greater inclusion and empowerment of our owners. So that's a wonderful thing as well. And the majority of our respondents saw our Pathfinder groups as important for fostering awareness of different cultural groups employed at MyPath, providing support and safe spaces for members of marginalized and underrepresented communities, providing networking and additional training opportunities for all identity-based groups, and supporting MyPath efforts to further diversify its workforce. So that whole recruitment and retention piece as well. And then they also saw this as providing opportunity for groups to contribute to their respective communities. So getting out and so providing support to all of the communities that we cross paths with across all of our operating companies and locations. So overall, there is trust that MyPath will do the right things with enhancing our MyPath ecosystem. So thank you for trusting us. 100% appreciate that. And we really look forward to making DEI a part of our DNA, and so that all of us, each and every one of us, can all support and uplift each other and help MyPath thrive. So again, thank you. There is so much more data that goes with this analysis that I could never speak to it on this minicast, but I at least wanted to kind of tell some things that were pertinent to this group. And I mean, there's a lot more information that is pertinent as well, but kind of some of those top level things to look at. And again, just the tip of the iceberg, and I definitely look forward to sharing more. But other than that, that is pretty much all we have for this May MyPath minicast. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next month.
Yep. See you next month.